April 17th, Jerry. You believe all this snow? It's crazy. No, it's not lake effect snow. Upstate New York can get lake effect snow. Everywhere does not get lake effect snow. You can see one of our favorite locations here. Dunder Mifflin Scranton. They don't get lake effect snow. They do get snow. There's different reasons that snow happens. Lake effect snow is one specific type that impacts our area quite a bit. Yuri made a shopping list. What do you need specifically for lake effect snow? So if you're going to go shopping for some lake effect snow, you need cold air and warm water, okay, and long wind. And
Please pardon the interruption.
you also need to be downwind of the lake. So you have to be here. If the wind is blowing over the lake, you got to be downwind. You can't be before the lake and near it. You got to be downwind and near the lake. Bad shopping list, Yuri. If you can find it, some elevation gain. Now, you also need a lake, okay? A big lake. You're talking the Great Lakes. Lake Ontario specifically for us, Lake Erie for Western New York State like Buffalo. Smaller lakes, they're not going to be enough time and enough water for when the air is going over it to actually increase the snowfall from that. So, shopping list. Cold air, warm water, long wind. So if we look at this picture here, you can see that there was a long amount of water, okay, and as the warm water meets the cold air coming off of it, the moisture can get up into that air, okay? Now you need that lake to be long enough for enough moisture to get up into the air that when it hits the land on the other side, there's going to be an excess of air. It hits colder land because land cools off faster than the water. So once it hits the cold land, the moisture comes out of the water because it reaches the dew point and you get extra snow. Now, if you can find that elevation gain, because remember, when you hit land, if it forces the air up, it's going to rise, expand, cool, condensation, that whole REC thing, RECCC, and that's going to make extra snowfall. So if you look at this one radar from one event, you can see that you can kind of pick out the direction that the wind was going. Now, for that event, you can see that there was a long carry of wind over that Lake Ontario. Now, Lake Ontario, the prevailing winds usually go from west to east. It's a westerly wind, and it hit the Tug Hill Plateau. If we look at the yearly snowfall data, you can see that that area, the Tug Hill Plateau into the Adirondacks, gets more lake effect snow. You got two reasons. The wind, when it comes over the lake to hit that area, it's the longest stretch of Lake Ontario, plus the Tug Hill Plateau is a raised up area and the Adirondacks are even taller. So it's forcing even more moisture out of the air. And you can see that if you look where Rome is compared to, say, Utica, Rome's a little bit closer to Lake Ontario. As the wind blows over the lake, you're going to decrease the amount of lake effect snow the further you get from Lake Ontario. So Rome gets a little bit more lake effect snow than Utica does. And then you put all those ingredients together, and what do you get? Snow. It's a snowflake. Doesn't really look like one, does it? This is a great diagram, which is why I picked it. I'm not crazy about the phrasing of state the relationship. It doesn't really follow the format that great, but water temperature and air temperature for lake effect snow to develop, you need warm water and you need cold air. Okay, so you need a bigger difference in them. One doesn't really affect the other, but if you have warm water and cold air, lake effect snow will increase. So not great phrasing for the question, but just remember that. You've got the cold air picking up moisture from a warm lake. You also need cold land. Statewide locations east and southeast of Lake Ontario are more likely to receive lake effect snow than on the west because this is the prevailing wind. This is the direction the wind usually blows. So downwind of the lake gets snow. And why does heavy snowfall occur in the Tug Hill Plateau region? Elevation. It's higher up. Higher elevations get more snow. Another nice diagram, we've used this earlier in the year. This is a isoline diagram showing average snowfalls. One path that shows a lake effect snowfall in Oswego. So there's Oswego. Can you kind of picture in your head what direction the wind would blow for Oswego to get good lake effect snow? You'd want to draw something that goes across the lake a long way like that. Let me show you in red. If you drew something like this, that would not be good because it's not going over a big chunk of water. So you need a long travel over that lake to pick up extra moisture. So this would not be a good one. More lengthwise parallel with the direction of the lake would be a better parallel. Another nice diagram. It's got a lot going on. It's a tricky question, okay? Which one represents what's going to make the lake effect snow? So you got to think, what do you need? Cold lake versus warm lake, you need warm water. More heat leads to more evaporation. So you need the warm water, and you need cold air, okay? And you need cold land. Am I missing something here? Oh, this wasn't on purpose. Evaporation versus condensation. You need evaporation over the lake, and then you need condensation over the land. That was a very tricky question. I didn't catch that first time through. It took me a second to find the difference between the two diagrams. So evaporation over the lake, it would be condensation over the land to make that snow fall back out. And then I'm not going to ask you to draw the isolines, but if you wanted to pause and draw a few isolines, they did have the students draw extra isolines on this diagram here. But identify a factor that contributes to high snowfall on the east side of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. And you could say anything about it being downwind of a lake, or you can say it's warm water, cold air. Mainly downwind of a lake is going to make, or on the backside of the lake is going to make more snow. Now don't forget, this is the Adirondack. This is not an isoline I'm drawing. I'm just showing you. This is about where the Adirondacks are here. And I did mention in the video that the west side of the Adirondacks gets the more snowfall than the east side does. So don't confuse east and west with what I showed you earlier versus this question here. And it is Friday of our virtual Spirit Week. Yuri just wanted a little bit of RFA pride with the black and orange there.